The way I view balance is balance means different things at different times, and trying to determine what's negotiable and what's not. Recognizing that my time with my son is limited, and trying to see how I can maximize that, but also realizing that being a professional, doing my job is such a huge part of who I am as a person.
Welcome to The Scaries, brought to you by Razor Co. I'm Sky.
And I'm Talitha. We are proudly broadcasting from Treaty 4 territory and the homeland of the Métis. In each episode, we tackle the alarming, inconceivable, questionable, shocking, and scary statistics relating to, impacting, and intervening with the lives of women and girls worldwide.
You'll hear the scary truth, take away tools and tips, and learn about what you can do about it. The Scaries is an opportunity for us as women and supporters of women to use our voices to make some real change. We'd also like to note that the views expressed on this podcast are solely our own, and it's for entertainment purposes only. And we could be sharing some content that could be triggering to you, so please listen with caution.
As straight, cisgender, white, able-bodied settler women, we are very aware of the privilege that we have, and we want to use this platform to spread awareness about the scary reality that women from around the world face in different life situations.
And why?
Because sometimes nothing is scarier than being a woman.
Hello, Scaries community.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the scary stories and statistics that honestly are real life things that we go through as women every single day. Mm-hmm. And you know, in the last couple of episodes, we've kind of had this common thread being motherhood, and we're continuing on with that thread with today's topic. And this one is even more near and dear, or too well to our hearts. And it's really the concept of how work and balancing work and motherhood, how that works. It's not easy.
It's even just hard to get out.
Yeah, it's hard to even just say.
It's hard to explain.
Struggle. It is a straight up struggle bus. So that's what we're chatting about today, because we know that we're not alone in this.
No.
And so we're going to look at how the role of a mother brings really unique stressors and impacts that can take a big toll on the trajectory of our careers and our mental health. So yeah, that's what we're getting into today.
It's honestly a little bit of a selfish episode because we just really need the tips and tools. We need to talk about this. I can truly barely keep afloat most days. And I have a partner, and I have my parents live in the same city as me. And I have so many friends and my brother's help and all that kind of stuff. I have so much support, and I feel like I'm exhausted and drowning. And honestly, no matter how many, empowerment events and all those things that we attend or that we've even hosted over the years since Raise Her Co has been around, the topic of navigating that work-life balance for women seems to be this ever-looming issue that leaves so many of us wondering, struggling, and questioning, what is the secret? How do they do it? Is there one? Well, we have a special guest today on the pod who will help us navigate a little bit of that and share her own strategies and advice for finding balance in the chaos, the guilt, and the competing priorities that come with being a mom who works in the workplace. And we say it this way and we define it this way because it is very different than a working mom. All moms work.
Work hard.
And they work very, very hard. Mm-hmm. So this is specifically about a mom who is in a workplace of some sort.
Yes, Marie. So before we get into the really fun stuff, and that is always with our guest, let's first dive into the scaries, of course, so we can really understand the gravity of the situation of what we're dealing with, what so many moms, including us, are dealing with every single day, especially, going back to work after they have children, what that looks like, how they navigate it, and how that all rolls. So for starters, you should know that the labor force's participation among mothers with young children, age 0 to 4, is at an all-time high.
Hey!
Which is kind of cool.
That's us.
Yeah, that is us. Currently, more than 70% of mothers of children younger than age 5 and about 80% of mothers of children ages 5 to 18 are working. So that is huge, like huge numbers.
That's really big numbers, yeah.
This high level of participation emphasizes the insight and productivity mothers really bring to the workplace every single day. And you don't tell me there's not a better person to hire than a mom. Like the ability to, those abilities and those strengths you get from just growing a human and the impacts after.
Raising a human.
That is major life skills.
Yeah.
So with all the knowledge of just how many moms are working and in the throes of raising and caring for young children, like that is a whole separate ball game. Let's talk about what they're facing. What we're facing, let's just be honest.
Selfishly. This is just our story.
Yeah. So according to a recent survey by Capterra Inc., it was discovered that 2/3, 65% of mothers working in the workplace in Canada are experiencing a difficult mental health load caused by balancing work and family responsibilities. Not only is there mental health suffering, but with the survey, which polled nearly 1,000 Canadian employees, it was found that 46% of working mothers felt more likely to be overlooked for promotion opportunities, 39% felt less likely to be included in projects, and 36% felt like a less worthy member of their workplace team.
Oh my God.
So sad. And over a third, so like 35% of the female respondents reported their career plans have been affected by dreams of having a family. 19% didn't feel comfortable sharing the news of their pregnancy with their employer. I believe that. And when they did share it, 35% of those working mothers felt that their employers provided zero support after sharing the news of their pregnancy. So sad. So unfortunate.
God.
There is a bright light, though. Okay. Among those who did receive support, they were provided with things like more flexible working hours, which is about 31%, fewer tasks, 22%, and the possibility of working from home, which is around 19% in the survey.
Ugh. Sadly, I just, it's like not surprising to me. None of these stats are surprising to me. Even though I know that we live in a country with way more supports in place, like including the recent $10 a day childcare, government subsidy, and parental leave to help birthing people have more say in the matter of if or when they want to go back to work in the first place. I can think of a situation in too many other countries where women and birthing people are forced to choose between going back to work due to no paid leave or staying home until their kids are in school due to the exorbitant childcare costs. This idea led me to dig into where Canada stands in terms of that work-life balance globally, and the data is very interesting. So let me paint you a little picture. In a recent study by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, or OECD, researchers looked at how much time, on average, citizens across the countries that are a part of the OECD devote to leisure and personal care, together with employees working very long hours to rank countries. So, Italy, Denmark, and Norway hold the top 3 spots, which also happen to be very high on the gender equality
familiar.
index.
These guys are always at the top of their game.
They're always doing it right. So they're at the very top. They hold the top 3 spots, and Canada is ranked 24th.
Not the worst on how many countries are out there, but
true.
Yeah.
So although only 3% of employees work very long hours in Canada, the same as in Italy, there is a significant difference in the time devoted to personal care, such as sleeping and eating, and leisure, including hobbies, games, TVs, watching TV, watching shows, whatever you want to do. I love that like sleeping and eating are considered like the
personal
extra
care.
Like you're really treating yourself real nice.
Right, kind of a critical piece of
you
survival.
need to do those 2 things.
Yeah.
So anyways, the OECD average for time devoted to personal care and leisure is 15 hours. For Canadians, the figure is 14.6. So we're like almost there. In Italy, the number is 16.5, the most time across all OECD countries. So when the study zoned in on Canadian cities with the best work-life balance, Ottawa was ranked best and actually came 7th in the world.
Whoa.
Which I don't know why Ottawa. I feel like I picture Ottawa as like political capital, like people just like go
Maybe because
all the
it's
time.
so government that they have like
It's
so
true,
many, like,
actually. They're
days
like,
off and
take your
things.
17 weeks of vacation and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. The other Canadian cities that were included in the study were Vancouver and then Toronto and Calgary, which respectively placed 16th, 19th, and 30th.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
16th, 19th, 30th. Yeah, that checks out for those 3 places.
Yep.
Wow. Very fascinating. Honestly, when we look at what largely contributes to those higher work-life balance ratings, it seems like it really does boil down to flexibility.
Yeah.
It's, who has the time to sleep and eat and do some hobbies? You can't if you're working a job that requires you to work all day and all night kind of thing.
Very true.
So,
yeah.
So here's some rapid fire stats from the same study that speaks to just how important flexibility is. 21% of the Canadian workforce works full-time from home. Interesting. But 56% would consider leaving their full-time job if told to return to the office full-time. So a lot of people are hybrid.
Yep.
72% of people working from home said they had a good work-life balance compared to 58% of people who work outside the home. 60% of people working outside the home said they were satisfied with the time they get to spend with their family compared to 70% of people working from home full time. So people who work from home more, doesn't mean they only work from home, seem to be a little bit more happy.
Yeah.
I know preferences and productivity vary from person to person. There's
Right.
some people I talk to are like, I can't work from home. I get nothing done and it just doesn't serve anybody in my life.
Yeah.
Where other people are like, I can't do the other way around. So I personally love the hybrid option. I like the ability to get dressed in the morning and go somewhere, but I don't love having to like be there on the clock on the exact hours and people watching you and wondering where you're going and the competition on who's here the longest and who's there first. That does not serve me or anyone, if you ask.
The competition is so stupid.
No. So Talitha actually just started a fully remote. I think you were hybrid before that, and then fully remote role. So tell us about that. How has it served you?
So
or not?
Yeah. So I since the pandemic, I was remote because everyone had to be remote, and then we went back to hybrid. And so I was still primarily I was at work maybe one day a week. But yeah, since March I've been entirely hybrid because my home base is in Toronto and I'm obviously not in Toronto, and I have teammates across the country. So it's a very interesting question because when people of you types where people are like, I love going to work some days, I'm like, no, I love staying home. But I think it's because one of the reasons why is I do a lot of writing and data analysis and that type of thing. And so when I get interrupted, and I used to get interrupted all of the time at my office, it would drive me bonkers. It takes me probably, again, this undiagnosed ADHD. It takes me so long to get back into things. And so so working from home and being able to set boundaries, which I generally have a hard time doing, is really, really great. I also really like that I can go make a coffee and change the laundry in 5 minutes and feel productive. I feel like the flip side of that though is that then there's this pressure to be you need to be so hyper productive and why didn't you do 7 loads of laundry today? And not that my partner would ever say anything, but I feel sometimes there's this thing of the laundry is still just sitting there. And I'm well, I had meetings all day because I know I wear sweatpants, but I still work a full-time job. I still am working all the time.
Yeah.
So it's definitely harder in that regard. And then I think also just switching back and forth between the work mode and home mode can be difficult because it's not you leave the office and then you're done. I mean, I'm very privileged that I have an office space to work in.
Yes, I think that's huge. Yeah. Then you can almost feel this is where I am right now. I'm not put up a sign, no one's going to bug you. Whereas for me, I'm in the middle of my kitchen.
You're at the kitchen table. Yeah. So I can at least close the door at the end of the day. However, we do all of our raise her stuff in this office as well. So then I come back and I'm oh, I should maybe just check this email real quick or do this thing. And so that becomes hard. But overall, I would say it's absolutely incredible for me, that flexibility of being able to go pick up my son if he's sick or take him to an appointment or anything. I mean, my employer is also extremely wonderful and really supports me and supports me as a parent. And just they really get it in that way. So yeah, I mean, again, works for me. But again, it is 1000% the flexibility that is incredible.
I think I feel this idea of flexibility really started coming out after COVID.
Totally.
You didn't really consider this before COVID.
No.
And then it just kind of changed the game for the good, if you ask me.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's now the thing that people ask for. What are your benefits? What is your work situation? Can you work from home? Can you not? What's the issue? So very interesting.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing, because I think that's always interesting to hear.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So how we work continues to evolve post-pandemic, like we said, but there's still no denying that there is a continued desire for work-life balance, as always, especially for women, given the heightened pressures we just tend to have at home. Whether we put them on ourselves or society puts it on them, we've got them. And they just tend to fall more on mothers, those home responsibilities. In fact, according to Radstad's latest Work Monitor survey, almost all respondents, and they were involved men and women, think flexibility is important to both their current job and future employment. However, it seems that women are still not getting the level of flexibility that they need. This is where the interesting pieces come in. So the study uncovered that 47% of females agreed that they have flexibility in choosing both where and how much they work, compared to 57% of males. So still more males are having that flexibility. 55% of women say they control when they work, compared to 67% of men. So again, that 10% in discrepancy, it seems. In addition, a significant number of women still view being able to work from home as a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. And I think it goes to, you think about the different sectors that, the working sectors that women are more in, nursing, teaching, those types of things where you're not working from home. Like there isn't an option. I mean, maybe in some ways, but not much. So
it's hard.
You know, there's some professions that it is difficult, but I still don't. This is not okay for there to be that big of a discrepancy, if you ask me.
No, I completely agree. And I actually just read another study published like just this last Tuesday that suggests flexibility of working from home is the most coveted aspect that women look for, even above salary.
Ooh, I believe it.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild. Salary, like people want to work at home. So 42% of women surveyed said that they would give up a higher salary if it meant that they could work from home as much as they like. This is a 10% higher than the number of men who said the same. So it's like that difference of 10%. Yeah. When looking specifically at parents of those with children under the age of 15, about 2/3 of mothers said that they want to spend most of their work days at home, while 51% of dads said the same. As well, more than half, at about 54% of working adults surveyed, believe that pandemic caused positive changes in the amount of free time they have, and 42% of these respondents said it had a positive influence on the relationship between work and their mental health. And I see it. I think also like all of a sudden I saw so many workplaces, like especially my workplace at the time, was like have all of a sudden such a focus on mental health. They're like, how are you actually doing? And like that was never a question that was asked before. For sure. So and then I think it just became on people's minds. Another recent nationwide Gallup survey of employees with children revealed that women are 3 times more likely than men to say that they are the default responder to unexpected childcare issues in their family. 66% among women employees versus 22% among men employees. How does that compare in your life?
You know, we're pretty good. We're pretty equal.
You? Yeah. Oh, I'm 100%.
You were the one?
Yeah.
No, we're pretty good at which, I mean, thank God.
Yeah.
I feel like in the past, it was actually not more equal, and it was more my husband being home with them more than I was, because I was in so many meetings like constantly. And I was at a team of like 8 that like it just felt harder to get away. Yeah. Whereas now I'm a little bit more flexible,
independent. So then this study went on to say that women with children are also twice as likely as men with children to report having had 3 or more days in the past month where they were unable to perform their usual work responsibilities. So again, impacted from children being home or whatever it may be.
Totally. Yeah. Honestly, that main thread that I keep on hearing is that like we don't just need this, like want this flexibility. And it's not just a nice to have. I don't think it should just be this carrot that places dangle. Like this is a need for women, for especially for moms who have so many other things going on and so many expectations, so many pressures, so many roles. This is a need to survive and thrive as a human. We are more than just employees in the box of the workplace. We are parents, we are individuals, we are community supporters, XYZ. And so workplaces, this is a must. This is just like table stakes now.
Well, and like the 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, 52 weeks a year work thing, that like setup was based on a colonial man.
Right.
Like, so it doesn't take into account like women aren't 24-hour cycles. We know this. We are 28-day-ish cycles. So like that's how our body works, or like any menstruators. And also just like that colonial perspective of like, if you're not like if you like an indigenous way of knowing and being is significantly different. They look at work significantly different.
Yep.
Or like if you're from Eritrea or wherever. So like it's just so much different. And so why do we have to like fit into this box of being a parent or not? But like why do we have to fit into this box
of these exact hours of a 15-minute coffee break and end at 4:47? Like, come on. And honestly, like think about the school day. It has never changed. It starts at 8, maybe it's 7:30. I don't know what the school day is. My kids aren't in school yet, but ends at 3:30. I'm pretty sure. What person is off by 3:30? Not many.
Yeah.
And so again, just considering women are just supposed to stay at home and pick up the kids and the dad can enjoy work until 5.
Exactly.
That is not serving anybody.
No.
So we haven't changed the systems and the society and all the other pieces to support the needs of moms being in the workplace. So why should the women have to bear the brunt of all those challenges?
Exactly.
Let's work with these people. Let's start to shift the systems here.
You fit in the round peg into a square hole.
Totally. And I mean, I'm getting a little heated here. So let's bring in our community champion and our amazing guest to hear about how she does it all, because I tell you, she's got a lot on her plate, and I'm sure flexibility is it's a thing that's hard to come by. So let's bring her in.
So let's welcome Wura.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for joining us.
Let me tell you a little story about Wura. Wura Dasylva is a corporate commercial lawyer in the Regina office of Miller Thompson LLP. Her practice focuses on mergers and acquisitions, corporate reorganizations, corporate governance, banking, and finance. So just very light topics. Wura obtained her bachelor's degree in law from the University of Ibadan in Nigeria in 2013 and a master's degree in law from the University of Manitoba in 2017. She was called to the Nigerian bar in 2014 and the Saskatchewan bar in 2018. In January of 2023, Wura was then admitted to the partnership of Miller Thompson, a very casual, huge escalation in your career. So with all of that, she does have a little bit of spare time. And in that spare time, she is an avid volunteer in her community. She is currently a member of the Regina and District Chamber of Commerce, where she acts as the vice chair of the board and chairs the governance committee of the board. Wura is a 2023 finalist of the Saskatchewan Silver Spades Young Professionals Award. The award recognizes young professionals in Saskatchewan, aged 35 or under, who demonstrate professionalism, including integrity, vision, drive, and perseverance. Above all, Wura is a mom to a 7-year-old who she is utterly grateful for. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're very excited. We have some rapid fire questions to start off, though.
So these are just to kind of lighten the load before we get into the real topics.
Okay.
So the first question we have for you, and I always love this one, is what is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Time is a gift.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I think that's very packed. On one hand, it's about living right now in the moment and enjoying the moment and being grateful for every second and every minute that you're alive. On the other hand is recognizing that things would happen with time and to be patient, but not allow that patience to make you laid back. So it's a little bit of a balancing act. 6 years ago, or in 2015 when I moved to Canada, I had no idea I would accomplish the things I've accomplished in less than 10 years, but here I am. So time is a gift, and I'm very excited about what's in the future. So time is a gift. Live now, be present, but then also know that things would come. Good things would come.
I feel like and so precious. To me, time is like the biggest currency there is your time, right?
Yes.
Like valuing your time at work with your kids, and all of those things are trade-offs. Your time, right? It's such a important piece in life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Someone said something which maybe this is too deep, but hopefully it's not too deep. The person said we're an embodiment of time. Our life, our lives were an embodiment of time. So think about somebody that's lived 100 years. Multiply that by the number of years and the number of months and weeks and days, and up until the very second of the day. And so put all of that together. What you spend your time doing, that's a part of your life, right? So this is me sharing my life with you.
Yeah,
That's very true.
The hour here is me sharing my life with you. I can take back that moment in my life. And so if we think about that, sometimes it makes us appreciate time in a different way, because we're like, really, am I really thinking about the things that matter? Am I focusing on the things that matter? Am I loving what I'm doing? Am I spending my time, my life in the right way? Like if you substitute time and life, sometimes it gives a different perspective.
That is so interesting. I immediately got a picture of, your bank account where it like gives you the pie of like where your money goes to.
Yeah.
It'd be so cool to think of that into essence of time and like where your time, and you get it on your phone, like how much screen time and those things. But like if you split up, let's say 100 years of your life, and you could get a diagram of where your time went, would you do things differently? And how much time did you spend watching TV?
Right.
Or where you could have done something meaningful. So very interesting.
Or even just like doing things you don't want to do, which comes with like boundaries too. If you're like, yeah, sure, I'll do that thing. And then you look back and you're like, I didn't have fun. I didn't do anything I wanted to do.
Yeah. Was that a waste of my life?
Yes.
Well, I think a lot of people...
my time, but if you think about time being and life being an embodiment of time, was that a waste of part of my life?
Oh God, you were hitting me right in the
it's very profound.
First question. Holy,
it's gonna be a good one, guys. Okay, second question. If you could grant one gift to all women, what would that be?
Intangible gift, which is absolutely super invaluable. Like I can even quantify that. It would be the value of how precious you are, self-worth, self-confidence. Like if I could give that gift or help every woman realize just how precious you are. Like I don't know how to articulate that. Like just how important and precious you are. Like I think the world would be a much better place. I think people would be happier. I think people would focus on what makes them happy. So that's an intangible gift that if I had some superpowers and could give that gift, it would be just to know how you're enough and perfect and amazing and beautiful, and not spend time worrying about things that do not matter. If I can give a tangible gift, it would be a book. It's The Outlier by Malcolm Gladwell.
Yeah, it's a good one. I'm reading that currently on an audio.
Are you?
Yeah, it's a good one.
I was like, I have it on my bookshelf somewhere here. Yeah, I just don't know where it is. Might be on a different one.
It's very interesting.
It is interesting. And the perspectives that book offers, it's mind-blowing. It's about opportunities and success and generational opportunities, right? When you think about certain people, you're like, oh, that person is lucky. Well, it's a combination of factors, including the time they're born in. Yeah. Like, can you believe that? The month.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's such a profound one. I really like it. And maybe that's a book that a working professional would enjoy. Maybe not every woman. But I think there's some value there. Like if you're a parent, even if you're not a professional, if you're a business person, like I think there could be something to learn from the book. I think the part that was most shocking to me and at the same time painful, I don't know if you've read that chapter about plane crashes and how communication can impact whether there's a plane crash or not a plane crash because of how people communicate, the tone. Like an American pilot is likely to cuss and swear if there's an emergency, and a pilot from another with another background is super polite. And there's a particular transcript from like the black box. Yeah. And I read that and I think I had a tear in my eye because I'm like, okay, this person, this pilot has how many souls on board, is about to is in trouble and is still super polite up until the last second and even ended that call with thank you. And I'm like, wow, we need to just understand that there is a time to be aggressive.
Yeah, there is a time. You're allowed to be mean sometimes.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, it's such a great book. I really did enjoy reading it.
Very interesting.
It's such a good book. Yes, definitely recommend.
Amazing. A great answers to that one. Okay, last question on this section. What is your scary? What keeps you up at night?
Oh, that's a tough one. And I think it circles back to my comment on time. Am I fulfilling my potential? Am I maximizing my life? Am I where I should be? What is my purpose? And am I living in it? That really keeps me up at night.
That is scary. If you're like, am I wasting, back to the first answer, am I wasting my life? Am I wasting something that was gifted to me? Should I be doing something more?
Am I doing what I should be doing? Yeah. Exactly. Am I making the kind of impact I should be making? And the work could be, and just like that self-evaluation of where you are in life and what your opportunities are, your potentials, and just am I doing what I should be
Right.
doing in this moment?
Yeah. Whew. Chills.
God knows, right? Who knows? All right. So now we're going to get into the nitty gritty of our prepared questions for Wura. So we want to start out about just tell us about yourself, how you, like we mentioned in your bio, you do a lot of things, play a lot of roles, wear many hats. How do you balance it all? You have a demanding career as a lawyer, as a partner, no less, responsibilities as a mother with a young child. And then, of course, to top it off, you have community commitments. So how do you do it all?
When it comes to balance, I find that balance is very subjective. For some people, that would be working 8 to 5 and then getting back home and making a nice meal for their family, and then the bedtime routine and all of that. For someone like me, that's wishful. I have clients with needs, and sometimes that would mean it's supposed to be a lovely night, but then there's an email and something needs to be done. I need to be present for my family, my kid. The way I view balance is balance means different things at different times, and trying to determine what's negotiable and what's not. Recognizing that my time with my son is limited, and trying to see how I can maximize that, but also realizing that being a professional, doing my job is such a huge part of who I am as a person. So not losing one thing not losing that part of my identity, my work, because I'm a mother, and not losing my identity as a mother because of my job. And on top of that, wanting to be just a good person. And that's like being in the community and volunteering, whether formally or informally. Currently, I have a student at Queen's University in Kingston that I mentor, a law student. So we catch up every month, and sometimes more often to discuss different things. So she's a Black law student and could use the mentorship of a senior person or of a practicing lawyer who's also a Black woman, a Black lawyer. So wanting to give back is also part of what fuels me as a person. So it's about, looking at my time, again, that pie, and trying to figure out what's important, but also understanding that different times and different seasons, some things are more important than others. So I do not have the perfect balance or the perfect idea of what balance is. The way I view balance is, what do I need to do at this point in time? And just like looking at things from a piecemeal fashion. So today, it was important for me to be here. I wanted to be here. I looked forward to it. But on my drive out, my son started to cry. You're going out again. And so I parked in the driveway, ran back, gave him a huge hug, put my car in the car, and then hoped that nobody realized that I was out of the car and got into the car and left with the car. And then gave him a hug and then told him about the trip to Saskatoon tomorrow and how he's going to have so much fun on the trip because I have a presentation at the U of S on Thursday. I'm speaking at a symposium on Thursday. And so trying to just so the 5 minutes of running back into the house to give him a hug, that was precious. So again, when it comes to balancing all of these things, I take one day at a time. I have a global picture of what my week and what my month and even overall what my year should look like, the kind of event I want to be a part of, the volunteering activities. But taking each day at a time, what needs to be done today? What do I need to tackle today? And then if I can incorporate other things that I do love into that, excellent. Otherwise, but we will talk about self-care and prioritizing self, I think, shortly. I do not have a perfect answer for balance.
I don't think there is one.
There's not. That's why we're asking. Do you have ideas to share?
This comes up a ton, just this topic in general. Like, I think everywhere we go, especially in mom circles, it's like, how do we do it? How do you balance it? And especially for us, because we are similar to you. We're working moms. We have this amazing passion of raise her, but then, we're doing it all.
Kids.
And kids, little kids. And so I love what you said around what's non-negotiable, like right now. It could be work. No, I have someone calling me. There's emergency and I need to focus on that. Or my kid's sick or they're in the hospital. Like those are the non-negotiables, and different fires happen in different areas of your life and you just have to switch paths.
Exactly.
But, and every day is very different.
Every day
never
is
know
totally.
what you get. Yeah. I really like that.
So talking about your negotiables and non-negotiables and all of that, do you have a specific strategy or routine that helps you maintain the work-life balance? And I say balance, obviously those things balance in different ways, different days, even as we just said, amidst your various roles. Is there like a specific thing that you're like, every morning I wake up and do this? Or
do you have like a tool or tip or like anything that we should know about?
So naturally, I'm not an organized person.
Okay. You're speaking to me anyway.
But then adulthood happened to me. And so I guess adulthood happens to all of us. And we realize that, well, now we're thrown into this and we have to figure it out. Yeah. So I had to learn to stay organized. I have client work and a minimum of 50 emails in a day, minimum, on some days more. So how do I make sure I'm not missing a deadline? How do I make sure that I can still attend my personal medical appointment or my son's medical appointment or my son's activities in some place? So this is as basic as it gets. Calendar. Having color coding my calendar. Green, red, yellow, the one that's work, the one that's personal. I don't know how people manage several calendars. I have just one, and that's the work calendar. And I put my personal stuff in there as well. And I have codes such that if somebody were to look at my calendar, they do not know exactly what that means.
Right.
And so, because it's easier for me to use one calendar as opposed to using personal calendar on my personal phone, a separate one on my work phone, I'm going to get into like conflict in that in that way. So as basic as that is, having a calendar really helps me a lot, and using that calendar helps me. I also have like a to-do list every morning. You know, what's important, what do I need to do? I think a lot. My mind races a lot, especially at bedtime. Mm-hmm. So I pick up a pen and a paper, or I pick up my phone, get into my notepad, and then get it out. Because it's like in my head, and I have to get it out so that I can sleep. So I do not have like a specific routine other than just some of these basic things, and then making sure that I prioritize what's important, you know, what's important but can wait, what's urgent but not important but not urgent, and then just using that to determine how I tackle each day and each activity at a time. I also can be very, like, I can have 50 tabs in my head and on my computer open.
Yeah, believe it. Yeah.
So I just try my absolute best to reduce that into something in writing on paper, old school paper and pen, different colors of pens, and figure it out from there. So not a magic tool, but just something that works for me is, you know, prioritizing based on what I have to do from time to time.
It sounds like you're just really also kind to yourself, and like you don't put so much pressure on yourself that if you don't get task, you know, C and D done at the exact moment that you wanted to get it done, that you're not going to beat yourself up for it.
That's correct. I give myself grace. Yeah. And the reason I do that is because I have realized that I am the most important person in my life.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It does. You're the main character.
I'm the main character. So I need to do that for myself, because you cannot pour from an empty cup.
Yeah.
So if I do not make sure that I can create my balance based on what I need to do per time, and based on like that. And part of being kind to myself and giving myself grace is also learning to express myself. I've realized that people are kind as well. People can be kind. And we end up creating this we end up being too harsh on ourselves, forgetting that the person on the other end can just be as kind, if not kinder. So I personally would want to do a task within the day. But then I'll email the client and say, can this wait until tomorrow? However, if you absolutely need this done today, I'm sure I can get this to you by just maybe later in the evening. Please let me know. Many times clients appreciate that openness, because then you're letting them know that you can make it happen. But if they give you some time and some grace, you can then, you know, work on that particular task when it should fall.
Yeah.
Like at the right time based on your schedule. And many times people would say, no, absolutely, that can wait. Sometimes they'll even say, you know what, I don't even need it this week. And I'm like, yeah. Like, imagine if I had to, because my work is tough enough. And, you know, with everything I already have planned in a day, I'm already running into 11 p.m. on some days. So imagine if I were not kind to myself. I would burn out a lot quicker. I wouldn't be in private practice. And I probably won't be happy as well. Anyway, yeah.
No, I love that. I was just, as you were speaking about it, I was like, that girl's real nice to herself.
I
She's
try.
very nice.
Yeah, I try.
I mean, I know that takes work too. But
yes,
yeah, no,
totally.
kudos to you for that. That's
Thank
amazing.
you.
So on that role, or on that vein, has there ever been any challenges or people that aren't so nice in your path in regards to, you know, thinking that, you know, we have these stigmas and these perspectives as women, as working moms, and, you know, as community supporters, you know, that you should be doing something at a certain time, or, you know, you're not doing enough here. So have you faced any of those challenges, and how do you deal with them?
So that's a very packed question. There are several challenges. I'm in a profession that's still relatively male dominated, especially at the partner level. I'm in a profession where there's an expectation that you respond very quickly. There are senior lawyers and colleagues that have a 2-hour turnaround time in terms of a response time, which for me personally isn't a problem most of the time because I'm on my work phone as much as I'm on my personal phone. That's one of the ways I'm able to get things done quickly, is to respond quickly, get that out of the way, and move on to the next thing. So when it comes to the challenges and how I balance that, there's the part of being a woman. There's the part of being a woman of color. I have had instances where people have called, and because of my accent, they do not think I'm the lawyer, or they want to talk to a lawyer, or they would rather talk to a white male lawyer. And having some of these experiences and, you know, just wanting to still be on top of everything and, you know, prove a point, not just to people, but to yourself, I feel like I've had to work hard to earn my place where I am. And part of that is that in the early years, and again, I'm young, you know that, but in the early years, and it's still something I'm doing, but not to the same degree, I was killing it, but it was killing me.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I was putting in the hours. I was saying yes to absolutely everything. But I am grateful for those years and the strength to carry through. So when you say I'm nice to myself, that wasn't overnight.
Oh, yeah.
That was many months and many years of, you know, putting everything in and then just being tired and then realizing that I'm still not my best self at the end of it all. So those challenges, they still continue to exist, but one of the ways I've been able to manage the challenges is just to realize that I'm in a different stage and a different phase of my career and my life, and I can be kind to myself, and I'm a much better person for that reason. And I can be expressive, and I'm better off for that, and I can say no. As long as I'm polite, it's okay to say no. That's a tough question.
That is.
It is. It's a really tough question.
And there's also the part of racism in the workplace, racism in the community, racism in client relationship and engagement, racism in just your day-to-day. You're just minding your business, and somebody says something that's completely unkind to you in the store, and you're like, I'm just minding my business. I'm just trying to get groceries.
Yeah.
I don't know, honestly, and feel free to do whatever you want with this part of the
No,
conversation.
it's all good. You have challenges in whatever way that you have challenges, and that was what the question is. So it's,
Totally.
yeah, how do you overcome them? And it's hard. I mean, sometimes you don't overcome them. You just work through them.
That's entirely correct. Sometimes you grow a thicker skin.
Yeah.
And you don't let things get to you. And you just, you know, again, going back to that superpower question, you just realize that you're an embodiment of, like, you're amazing and you're incredible and you add value, and you want to be the best version of yourself, but you're also happy with your journey, your evolution. And I think one of the things that I've done is to come to realize that, you know, I can give myself a pat at the back and say I'm doing well, but there's more to be done. and not let those challenges get to me, not let somebody's views, because people project their insecurity on you a lot. And so you have to be able to realize, or to be able to say, you know what, this is not about me, it's a them thing. And then when you do that, you are actually like compassionate, because you don't feel bad for yourself. You kind of feel bad for them, and you're like, oh, I wish they understood. Walk a mile in my shoes, take a couple of steps in my shoes, move into a new country, start your career afresh, navigate immigration, navigate school, leave everything that you've always known, leave it all behind, and then just start afresh somewhere else, and be pregnant and be in school and have a job. And at the same time, you're getting requalified to practice as a lawyer. There was a time in my life, it was an 8-month period, and I still think back to that time, and I don't know how I did it. I was writing a master's thesis, I was pregnant, I had a job, and I was also writing my exams to get qualified. So I feel like life has helped me. Some of those experiences have helped me to navigate the experiences now. So when there is a challenge now, it's like, oh, no, you're a baby challenge.
Totally, you've done it.
And I've had people that have been completely unkind to me, completely disrespectful. I've had people that have addressed me as being not as intelligent because of how I sound, because I do not sound Canadian, or because I do not.
But what does Canadian sound like?
Great question.
Totally.
Right?
What does Canadian
And
sound
how does
like?
what you sound like align to intelligence?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
voice?
Exactly. It's
not.
not. Completely agree with you. But I'm at a place where I'm just so grateful. I have a job that I'm grateful to have. I enjoy what I do. I have friends and family that I'm absolutely blessed to have. I enjoy my community. I enjoy everything I do in the community. And I'm improving myself as well, putting myself out there, uncomfortable situations, speaking at events, just continue to do those things. That's how I overcome the challenges. Such a long way to answer the question.
Well, the challenges are endless, right? They're everywhere, and they're hidden, and you've gone through them in your whole life, and they change based on the stage of life that you're in.
Exactly.
And so that's it.
Yeah.
You're just dealing with it. You learn from the past ones, and you know that you can do it because you've gone through some rough things.
Exactly. And pick it up again and do better, be better.
Yeah, exactly. You talk about giving yourself grace, which is very key, and being nice to yourself. Yeah. And I love the writing everything, get it out of your head, because I am one of like 5,000 tabs in my brain where it races all night long. So how do you ensure that you have enough time, or you build enough time in your day for that self-care, for that filling up of your own cup so you can pour out to others? And what kind of different things do you do for that?
I've tried different strategies, and some, depending on the season of my life, some things would work.
Right.
Other times, some things wouldn't work. And again, talk about giving myself grace. I'm not hard on myself if it doesn't work.
Just try something new.
Evolve. Try something new. I try to find pockets of time during the day to do what I like to do, and sometimes that's read something quickly online. Sometimes that's connect with a friend. I do enjoy my evening a lot when I'm not working. It's my time of solitude. My husband sleeps early, my son sleeps early, so it's my me time.
It's Wura's time.
Right. So grab a cup of tea or something, and then just like, I'm always so happy, like, oh, this is my time. And I spend that time doing different things. Sometimes it's just, oh, I like this person online and I want to listen to more of their podcast, or read an article, or just like get educated on something. Or I want to try a new skincare routine, and I'm just like, 1 hour, and like, oh, I like the way this feels. So I create time, pockets of time. Usually it's small pockets of time, other than in the evening, other than evening time if I'm not working late. And I just usually just do what works for me in that moment, and just enjoy it, and just taking everything again. Usually a busy day fills me with gratitude at the end of the day, because I'm like, you did that. You did all of these things today. And it's just like some self-pep talk. And I'm just so grateful, and I'm just so happy and fulfilled. I've had days when I've sent like the last agreement for the day and it's 10 p.m. and I'm driving back home, or sometimes it's 11:30 even, and I'm driving back home, and then I have a playlist on and I'm like, yeah. It's like I just solved the world's biggest problem, which again, I recognize that there are different problems in the world and I haven't even done anything in that regard in solving it. But I just feel so my work, I enjoy my work very much. And so it gives me ongoing fulfillment and you know, the ability to be a parent as well and to spend some time with my son whenever I'm able to do that. So it's finding the joy in the mundane things. It's finding the beauty in the mundane things. It's thinking, oh my goodness, it's been 9 years. It's reflecting, because I find that reflection typically would create gratitude, and gratitude just gives you renewed energy because you are grateful. I'm grateful to have a meal on my table, to be able to get into the store, to drive the car that I drive. You know, some of those things are super ordinary to some people, but those things just keep me energized and make me happy. So let's say I enjoy my own company, and sometimes my self-care is actually like a dialogue with myself and like, you know, feeling grateful of thinking about things and just like being in my own solitude in that moment and enjoying it. And sometimes that would mean I'm journaling as well.
I love that. I know there's multiple studies that talk about like the mind frame of being grateful and what gratitude does to your brain chemistry. Like it actually like changes your brain and can change how your health, that like physically it changes things.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I didn't know that there was something like that, but I do believe it.
I'm saying it with my whole chest. There's got to be there's definitely studies out there. If there's not, I will say it right now that there's not. I will fix it in the editing. But I'm very positive that there is. And I will even put some in the show notes.
That'd be great.
Yeah, there's definitely some, but that's true. I mean, and even just like taking time to be like, wow, look how nice your skin is. You know? Look at you go. Yes. Like it's just so
this
nice.
New product is working.
Yeah, exactly. So good.
I love that, especially the ability to slow down and just recognize the mundane and the pieces that you're grateful with, which is tough when you're go from so many different roles. One thing's done, check off the next.
Yeah.
Like to take the time to pause, think, reflect, and be thankful. I think that's huge.
Yeah.
In and of itself. You don't have to go get a massage every day.
No.
Or, you know, it's little things.
Yeah. And sometimes it's dressing up and saying, oh, I look good.
Right?
Just loving yourself and like, just being grateful. Oh, I'm so grateful. I feel good. I look good. I don't know. It's just all part of self-care, if that makes sense.
Well, that's that, like, going back to what gift would you give people, and that's that, like, self-worth, self-compassion, self-love that you talked about. Yeah. This is such a full circle episode. I just love it so much.
Me too.
You obviously, I mean, it takes a village, as we always say. It takes so many people to raise a child, to do the things that you can do. You obviously have a very supportive partner that that encourages you to, chase after your career dreams and all of that kind of thing. So the question is then, what support systems or resources do you rely on to help manage your busy schedule and your responsibilities? And that could be a person, or it could be a thing. It could be whatever. Right.
You've talked about a supportive partner, and I cannot say enough how that just is a game changer. My partner is completely supportive. He is my biggest cheerleader.
Oh, so good.
He helps. I mean, I don't know if I want to call it help, but he wears the mom hat and the dad hat as well, which sometimes can be, a lot for a person.
Yeah.
But just being able to hold space for me in that moment that I cannot be present, or remind me about the appointment that we have with the teacher, or send me a calendar invite, and just being there for me and holding space for me. It's so important. I did read somewhere that one of the best decisions that a person can make is the choice of a life partner. Mm-hmm. And I'm not ignorant that, sometimes you don't know what that would, like, sometimes you say yes to the dress before knowing how it fits.
Totally. Absolutely.
And people evolve as well.
Yeah,
people
exactly.
evolve. I have evolved. Your partner would evolve. If you think about how difficult it is to change yourself, I'm going to start exercising 1 hour every day and it's like, I'll start tomorrow, I'll start next week.
Yeah.
Then you realize and appreciate how difficult it is to change somebody else, right? So people evolve and all of that. And so I'm very, very mindful that in some instances, you know, some decisions can be made by people and it's not their fault. I'm completely mindful of that fact. But to the extent that a person can make that decision thoughtfully and also be lucky, blessed, favored, I do think that the choice of a life partner can determine how much success or how far you go in life, because it takes a team, it takes a village. So yes, my partner is very supportive and I'm super grateful for him. I am a Christian and that's a core part of my identity. So the ability to say a prayer when I'm completely stressed, when I'm confused, when I'm, you know, when I don't know what to do, that is so meaningful to me. That helps me knowing that I can lean on, you know, God through any situation, no matter how difficult that situation is. And I can report people to God as well. You know, it's kind of cool when you know that he's not going to say to them that I reported them to him. So that is a very important part of my identity, and that helps me and carries me through some of the most difficult, that has carried me through some of the most difficult seasons of my life and continues to just be my rock and my strength in so many ways. Also, one's background can really give perspective. And again, back to that topic of gratitude and back to that, you know, just really thinking through all that I have been through. And the self-reflection in itself helps me through every season, you know.
Right.
Knowing that you've done this before, knowing that you've gone through this before, or just being able to learn from your own experiences, I find that has a significant way of just carrying me through a season. And then, you know, friends and colleagues. I have been with the same employer since I started practicing in Canada, since I started my law practice. And just the blessing of colleagues and wonderful colleagues that we share a relationship that's meaningful and that's filled with mutual respect. Sometimes the reason I'm fired up to go to work is because I'm going to have coffee with my work bestie.
Yeah.
Totally.
You know,
yeah.
so sometimes, you know, you wake up and you're grumpy and you're like, oh my God, it's another day. But you're like, well, I'm going to have coffee with my work buddy today.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, yeah, I'm going to be at work for the coffee. But of course, you spend 9 hours doing other things and 9 minutes taking the coffee. But it's all worth it. So, friendship, relationship, and just realizing that, you know, you need people, you need a community.
Right.
And part of that acknowledgement is making sure that you can be there for people in time of need, because then it comes back. There is just some joy in that, you know, making sure that the relationship is not a parasitic one. You can be there for people. If you have a friend that's pregnant, you can be there for them, you know, just giving back. We're not created in isolation. By nature, we're designed to rely on people.
Right.
And acknowledging that fact and letting people help you when you need the help. Or you want to help me? Yes, thank you. I'm going to take the help. Just acknowledging that and being a part of a community or different communities, I find that those are all like different things and pieces that help me through different seasons. And, you know, being able to hang out with a friend and say, hey, let's go have a petty date, or, you know, let's have a play date with the kids, and then the kids can do their thing and we can just catch up. It's in the little things. I find joy and beauty and peace in the little things as well.
You have
Beautiful. Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about how you negotiate boundaries. You know, you talked about that challenging period in your life where you said yes to everything and we're doing so much at the same time. How and when did you decide to set those boundaries, and what how do you determine what those boundaries are for you in all the different areas of your life?
Remember, I said time is a gift. And part of that is when I started out, I felt strongly that I needed to prove a point that I had earned a place in my workplace or in my career. So a huge part of what I did at the time was to prove a point. And for a woman, usually that's working twice as hard to even get the recognition that somebody else would get. And for a woman of color, sometimes that means even going a couple of extra miles, you know, a couple of steps to be able to get to that point where you can earn that respect and you can be considered reliable.
Right.
And so in those early years, I needed to do that. It was a price I had to pay. And it's a price I'm still paying, but in a different way, right? So understanding that, you know, I'm honest with myself, and I know that as a woman of color, I need to be able to hold an intelligent conversation. I need to be very versed in Canadian law. I cannot let my background be a limitation. So I need to work harder to be able to deliver excellently. And so I really needed, so time is a gift in that all of those years of hard work, a time comes when you feel like, you know, I've earned that respect. People know the quality of my work. People know how responsive I am. And then you're like, you know what, I've earned the credibility as well now to be able to slow down a bit. And I mean, when I say slow down, it doesn't mean that you're still not doing the odd file at 2 a.m. It just means that you don't have to do it to prove a point. You know, there was a time in my career when I felt like I had to send a 3 a.m. email so that somebody somewhere can notice that I'm working hard.
Yeah.
And if I'm being completely honest, yes, I did do all of that and did work as hard as that because I wanted to be acknowledged. I wanted my hard work to be noticed. I wanted to be validated. I put in extra time to make sure that the quality of my work was excellent, was top notch. If nobody knew what name was behind that work, they would totally take that and say, oh, this person has been practicing for so long. So I needed to put in all of that work. And then at some point, I realized I had earned the credibility within my firm, within my community, with clients. And so I was able to then say, you know, now is the time to start to start putting myself first, if that makes sense, to start doing, to think about other things like, you know, my family and what I'm passionate about and all of that. So how have I been able to negotiate boundaries? Time helps you to build confidence in yourself. So now you can say to a client or to a colleague, I'm sorry, I will get to that tomorrow. If there is a reason it has to be done sooner, let me know. So it's a negotiation. You're asking them, if I need to do this until 2 a.m., I will, because I care about your success and I care about you and your business and your work. But if this can wait until tomorrow, I'm more than happy to pick this up tomorrow. So just getting to that point of self-confidence where you've also earned the respect, right? Because if you're starting out in your career, it can be a more difficult conversation to have. It's the nature of my job is it's so based on the person doing the work more than the quality of the work sometimes, right? It's about the person and the credibility of that person. So once you've earned that credibility, it becomes a more organic conversation. It becomes a more organic thing to do. And you try it, it's baby steps. You know, you try it with your colleague and then it works and you're like, oh, that wasn't bad. And that wasn't the end of the world. Yeah. I can negotiate boundaries. I can say I have to leave at 6 o'clock, but then I'll get back to this at 8 o'clock. And that can work. And the person can even say, you know what, that can wait until tomorrow. And so I started to give grace to other people as well. So I would even send an email saying, I'm not going to look at it this weekend. Please don't worry about sending it to me on Friday evening. Right. So making sure that I'm able to pay that forward and making sure that I'm also not ashamed to ask for time. And also you also just have to be emotionally intelligent. There are times that your work would demand that you work until 1 a.m. because there's a closing the next day. Right. Or even in the community engagements that I have, there are times that something cannot be rescheduled and I have to be there, but there's something that's competing. Choices sometimes, you know, can be difficult if you have to be here and here at the same time. Well, you can't be in both places at the same time. So you have to, it's a tough call, but something has to be done. So I also realized that I've been in such situations where I did not necessarily put myself in such situations, but just the situations arose where somebody needs something right away, and I've also made a commitment to somebody somewhere. I need to be able to negotiate. And also my work as a lawyer, negotiating is part of what I do.
Yeah,
so
got it.
I guess it just makes it probably a little bit easier to be able to do that as well when I'm involved and my time and my work is involved.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of confidence in that. Like there's a point where you're like, you know what, I've proven myself. I have the credibility. Like the imposter syndrome is kind of like waved away, and you're like, no, I can just I don't have to prove myself as hard. And I think that's a big thing that a lot of people struggle with.
Yeah.
It's like that imposter syndrome just never going away. So they're always proving themselves, especially as women in general.
Yes.
So that I think is really the fact that you have that, I think is wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm still a work in progress.
Of course.
But I agree with you completely as, at some point you realize that and sometimes you've earned the credibility with A, but not with B.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's,
Earn it at work, but maybe not with your kids. So it's like,
Right?
okay, now I gotta go there.
Yeah. Or if you're new to a particular board, or you're new when it comes to this particular, you're volunteering somewhere, you don't want to drop the ball on your first assignment, right? If you've raised your hand to volunteer, then you should try your best. So you build the credibility afresh, at different stages and with different people and different engagements, and just try to suss out how you're doing. And then you move things around based on that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Okay, Wura, to wrap us up, I have a heavy hitter, which is, what advice would you give to other working mothers, working birthing people who are trying to find balance between their career and their family and their community involvement?
You're not alone. I'm going to start with that. You're not alone. There are women who have walked similar paths. Not necessarily the same, but similar path. No matter what that is, infertility, struggling with a difficult child or difficult spouse, a difficult boss, knowing that you're not alone and finding your safe space somewhere there, trusting your intuition, having conversations with people without saying too much, but then saying a little to determine whether it's a safe space, and then getting that support, getting that help. One of the things that helped me very much in the course of my career and even overall is finding mentors. And at some point when I wanted to have a mentor, my specific ask was, I wanted a woman of color, and a mom. Because I did think strongly that person would embody some of the struggles that I would encounter or that I had encountered, and I would be able to connect with them in a more meaningful way. And I can ask them questions, difficult questions like, how did you manage discrimination in your career? Or how did you balance being a parent? Or how did you build a book of business despite being a woman or being a woman of color or having kids or through childbearing season of life? How did you manage that? And so finding that support, and sometimes in form of a mentor, it's very helpful. So what I'll say to anybody is, you're not alone. And the beautiful thing about women is women are naturally caring. Women are not, they by nature, many women are nurturers. They can nurture a dream. They can nurture, give a woman a house, she'll turn it into a home. I'm sure you've heard that cliche and a couple of other things about women and all of that. But I love the opportunity to connect with other women and to just realize that this is not a challenge that's unique to me. So find your own tribe, find your own community. I could say some really cool stuff, but maybe they do not apply to you, right? And that's the thing as well, is realizing that no matter what a person says or what advice they give, that it's still yours to determine what works for you, and it's still yours to determine when you need to press harder and find the gem, find the juice, find the best piece of advice in an engagement, in a conversation. And if you're not getting enough, press in even a little bit more. Am I talking to the right mentor?
Right.
Maybe I think a Black woman in my profession is the right mentor. Maybe no, maybe I just need somebody who's absolutely competent, who knows their stuff, and maybe that's what I need. Maybe I was wrong about this, and then not be shy to change course and to find another person or another tribe, and doing that as well and being authentic through that, because you do not want a relationship to be entirely transactional, right? Because you have to nurture a relationship. So you have to nurture, you don't jump into a conversation and say, I need you to help me. You need to be able to build that more organically. But I think that if women would support other women, and if women would lean into the support that's available in their community, and if women would not be so closed up, open up a little bit, don't be shy to talk about your struggles. You would be surprised the other people or the other person who has similar struggles and how they're navigating that. New to a country and trying to get a job. Well, there are people in the same boat. The fact that they're not talking about it does not mean, they do not feel the struggles or the pressure. And you never can tell what conversation would lead to the breakthrough, right? So being a working mom or being a professional, finding the right mentor is critical. And then depending on your line of work, sometimes you need more than a mentor. Sometimes you need a sponsor. You need that person that believes in you very strongly. You need that person that would advocate for you behind closed doors, right? They say a mentor talks to you and a sponsor talks about you. But then realizing whether your work is the kind where you need a sponsor or where you're good with a mentor, right? And maybe in some fashion, knowing what you want, having a rough idea of what you want out of life. And for some women, it's to raise the most well-behaved kids that they can possibly raise and to feed them nicely, to help them through life. And that's valid and beautiful and amazing. I have so much respect for women that do that, because it's a lot of work to be a mom full-time. And for some other people, it's to work full-time and then find some other kind of support for them in their homes. So there's always somebody, or there are always people, or there are always resources that can help you navigate whatever your choice is. But your choice has to be entirely yours, but just know when to lean in and know when to ask for help and know when to find a mentor and try to get a sense of what you want. What's your in an ideal world, what do you want for the next 5 years? If you're in a field like mine, if that's to make partner, well, what does that entail? The hours, the business development. Okay, who do you have to talk to help you make that happen? If it's within government, find another woman who's in government that you really do like and ask if she can help, or talk to the male co-worker that you really have a good relationship with and say, do you have some recommendations? What do you think about this person? If it's politics, you're currently not in politics, but you see yourself being in politics in the next couple of years. Well, maybe be in a place where politicians are and just feel the energy in the room, connect with them, and over time, see who you gravitate towards. Do I like this person? Do I feel like this is something I want to do? But yeah, never walking alone, never doing it alone, just leaning in. And I think one of the things about women is we naturally just want to do things. We're very strong. We're so strong. Maybe not physically as much, but just emotionally strong. Yeah. And can be stubborn. Yeah. And there is the can-do spirit, but giving yourself grace, knowing when to ask for help, talking to people, finding the right community, finding the right support group, finding the right mentor and the right sponsor, all of those things. Yeah. And again, just back to the very first comment, you are so special, you're amazing. I mean, give yourself that pep talk if it helps, or record it and play it and pretend that wasn't your recording.
As your theme song, yeah.
I know, right? I don't know where I saw it, but somebody's wake up alarm is something like, oh, it's a brand new day for you to be a superhero, for you to be like the best, something, whatever works for you. But and being grateful for just time. There is a way I view time. I really can't explain it. Just being grateful for every moment.
I love it.
So beautiful.
So wise. Thank you so much, Wura, for
Wura,
all the gems of wisdom you shared with us today.
And thank you for sharing a little bit of your heart and your soul and your time, your life.
Yes. With us. Thank you for letting us into your life and into that moment in time that hopefully you'll always remember.
Thank you very much. This has been great. And I could talk to you for another minute and another minute and another minute and another hour and still feel like I want to keep talking to you. So thank you for making this such an authentic one. Thank you for being so pleasant and nice. And for what you do in the community, gosh, I am so proud of you. And I'm incredibly proud of you. And I'm so grateful that women like you exist in our community. Regina is a better place because of women like you. Regina is a better place because of what you do with Raise Her and how you're doing this thankless job of interviewing people, talking to people, sharing gems, and even everything that you do, because you are a parent and you have your daytime jobs and you volunteer in the community and you're still doing this just to, enrich people's lives. And that's so impactful. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to be playing that every day.
Yeah.
This is why I wake up every day.
Yeah. Thank you
so much.
You're welcome.
Wow. There you have it. I still have goosebumps. Wura is such a force.
Oh my God.
So wise. She needs her own podcast.
Yeah,
I think.
honestly.
She is amazing.
I am going to actually just try loop that thing and just keep playing it over and over.
She's so sweet.
Yeah.
From one working mom to two more, we need flexibility. And she says it. We need grace. We need self-care. We need self-love. Easier said than done. We know, and I know, trust me, I've had a cough for 6 months, but we need a bottom line. We need the support of our village.
Yeah.
We can't do it alone, and we're not alone. And from our employers, from our partners, from our villages, from our friends, really. And it's not just for us. It's also in our ability to thrive and model what that looks like for the next generation to thrive as well. So where do we go from here? What do we do? How do we help? How do we support moms? Well, supporting mothers who work in the workplace requires a very comprehensive approach, as usual. It includes policies, workplace practices, societal support, like I mentioned. But here are some of the best practices for you to consider sharing with your workplace specifically and coworkers to kind of change the narrative around what it looks like and feels like to be a working mom. So number one is elevate motherhood by normalizing it at work. Let's normalize being a mom or a dad. How many times have you heard a group of colleagues in the workplace talking about fantasy football or, using sports metaphors in the middle of a meeting to explain, goals and things like that? Did you think twice about whether it's appropriate? Probably not, because it's been there for ages. That types of talk. It's part of a male dominant topic and a male dominant workplace, really. So we need to think a little bit differently about this. How can we flip the script? We have the power to decide what's valid and normal in the workplace. And let's be honest, like we said at the beginning, there are 80% of women in the workplace are moms with young children. So let's start bringing that up. When you're leading a training meeting, swap out the sports analogies for baby care analogies. Why not try that?
Try it.
Honestly, chances are the staff will be surprised, but most of them will know what you're talking about and probably laugh and giggle. And honestly, it's almost like a vulnerable kind of real, authentic moment. And honestly, if my boss or someone I knew did that, I'd feel like, they see me, they get me. Let's connect.
It's also those little have you seen the thing on TikTok where they're it's the I don't know, they call it minuscule or small acts of feminism, where people will say responding to an email and they're the lawyer will have this written up for you whenever, and then the response will be let me know when she has it done. And just these small acts, or always addressing the woman first, even in an email. When you're addressing an email, I always do this. I always put the women first, and then I put the men after.
I like that. Just small, subtle nods to this is the world we live in.
Yeah.
I love that.
So it is that.
Yep. Normalize being a mom, normalize being a woman in the workplace. The next one is model giving yourself flexibility. Giving yourself flexibility. Sometimes we don't have to ask for it. We should just take it. while continuing to do our job. So we still get our work done, but on our terms.
Yeah.
So culture has really trained professional moms to feel guilty. And this is something that I totally get, for having family responsibilities, has painted us as a less committed in general because we have these obligations outside the work.
Right.
As a result of this, we feel pressure to make our parenting role invisible at the office, and we feel shame to have to make any adjustments in our work lives to take care of our kids. But we can change this opportunity, this too. We can change this mindset, especially if you're in a leadership role at work, through the choices you make in your own parenting. So, these are you setting an example of what you expect from your team. If you want to go and leave early to go to your kid's appointment or go to watch their game or whatever it is, do it.
Yeah.
Let it be known, hey guys, I'm leaving early. Like, do the same if you want.
Yeah.
Let it be known that it's okay, and don't apologize for it. Like, this is what I'm doing. Like, women need those messages. I saw something on someone's email signature the other day about, I think they work flexible hours, and it's like, please be advised that I have flexible work hours, and I may be answering this email not your normal time, but please don't be pressured to respond like when I'm sending you this information.
I love that.
I loved it too. I'm like, that's so smart. And honestly, there is so much pressure if you get an email in the middle of the night from your boss. You're like, oh, I gotta respond.
Oh, yeah.
And then that's such an unhealthy, expectation.
Yeah.
But I love that. It's like, no, just no pressure. This is just when I'm working. So
Yeah. Don't
you
feel
don't
the
have to
need to
respond
respond
right now. Yeah.
Well, the next point is openly communicate the mom supportive values. So new moms need flexibility, as we've said, to pump, to feed, to attend doctor's appointments, to pick up sick babies from daycare, whatever it may be. And as a leader, if you hold a leadership position or just are a leader in your organization, be clear with your staff that you support parents' needs. Provide your team with clear systems for accommodating these needs. So, for example, when is it okay to work remotely? How do you flex time if you need to leave early? Who do you ask for clarification? All those types of things. Just setting up boundaries and setting up clear communication. Also, be really clear with your expectations. So it's okay for parents to leave early or work from home under the following circumstances. It's not okay to be unprepared or not communicate schedule changes. Transparency absolutely reduces anxiety for moms, especially, or birthing people on staff, because they know how to plan and then avoid getting in trouble. It also takes the teeth out of the non-parent grumbling, because you've made it clear why accommodations are important and that quality work is still expected. That is what equity is. Equity is meeting people where they are and helping them to succeed.
Yes.
Next is to advocate. If you're a mother in a position of power, it's important that you use your own experiences to better understand the struggle of other moms and invest in creating motherhood-friendly systems at work. A pregnant custodian or secretary may not get to change the layout of the parking lot when she experiences physical discomfort, or consider adding a pumping room if she's got no place to go. Most pregnant women are also unlikely to make requests that benefit them personally for fear of being seen as poor team players or just that old selfish. And I feel like we already have enough selfish feelings and guilt.
Right.
We don't need it more at work. We need to take the time to ask questions that understand parenting challenges that lesser resourced mothers on our team may be facing, and invest in meeting their different needs. And I think this whole idea comes from Sandra, what's her name? Lean In.
Yeah. I want to say Sandra Smerler.
I was going to say that too.
Sandra. No, I don't know why it's escaping.
What is Lean
In book, though?
Okay, the person who wrote Lean In, I don't know.
Sandra?
I don't think so now. We've been working for 14 hours at this point. But she had that experience.
Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. I'll remember it later.
Okay. But she had that experience.
Sheryl Sandberg. Not Sandra.
Oh, God. I knew there was a sand in there something, though. Okay, anyways. So Cheryl had this experience when she, I think, was working at Facebook or Google or something. Yes. And she was like waddling across the parking lot. And they were like, why are you like walking so far?
And
she's like
sweating when you get in.
Yeah.
It's like, because I have to walk a million
years.
And
she's like, I'm like carrying a whole person. So yeah, anyways. Okay. That was a very long way to get there. And last is to make yourself available as a resource. So for driven professional women transitioning into new motherhood, it's deeply reassuring to have access to a mentor, as Wura talked about, who has been there, who has continued to grow their career while being a visibly committed parent. This is one of the biggest gifts that we can give to other working moms, and that's to show them what it looks like to juggle parenthood and a career, sort of. It's a balancing act. And to be a sounding board for the doubts and worries that come with the journey. We also get to model giving ourselves grace and being kind to ourselves when things are a struggle and being real about that struggle. So by implementing these best practices, employers and supporters can create a more supportive and empowering environment for working mothers, enabling them to thrive both professionally and personally. So go forth and discuss these at your next team meeting and see what happens. Remember, action and change starts with awareness and can start with you. So empowering.
So thank you so much for joining us today as we confronted these terrifying and real life statistics impacting women all the time. Please share this episode, rate and subscribe wherever you're listening, and stay tuned for more ways we can make a positive impact. Together, we can make the world a little less scary for women and girls.
Follow us on Instagram at RaiseHerCo and at Scaries.podcast and on TikTok at RaiseHerCo. Remember, change starts with awareness and action, as we just said, which we are doing here today. Thank you for being a part of the Scaries community and making this world a little less scary to exist as a woman. Bye.